Murray Hill is a fast-growing area where many sleek new buildings have recently opened, or will soon. But most of the new structures, including high-rise condos and rental buildings, are between 3rd Avenue and the East River. West of 3rd, many buildings have landmark status or are part of a historic district with graceful row houses, stately mansions, and stables or carriage houses turned into homes. I won't say it's a tale of two cities, said Ashley Petrie-Locke, who has lived in the neighborhood for 9 years. But there is almost a divide. The population in the more established buildings generally skews older, said Ms. Petrie-Locke, 36, who rents an apartment on Lexington Avenue and 5 years ago joined the Murray Hill Neighborhood Association, where she is now secretary. The streets closer to the East River, and some to the west, are attracting young families and young professionals, she said. She and other association members are trying to blend the two communities, she added, with a new networking committee and other activities. She is something of a blend herself, a senior publisher at Oxford University Press. Ms. Petrie-Locke spends some nights waitressing at a 2nd Avenue pub. Not only is the extra money welcome, she said, she likes the place and it's a nice change from sitting at a desk all day. Among the newer residents is Jacqueline Greenman Mommen, 36, who bought a 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath co-op in a post-war building on Lexington Avenue just outside the historic district 4.5 years ago. She paid $1.2 million, she said, and did extensive renovations. I met my husband the same month I moved in, she said. Dustin Mommen, 35, lived in London at the time, and when he moved in with her, she said, he called the neighborhood the center of the universe. Both can walk to work, she to her job as a high school history teacher, he to his as a hedge fund executive. Both travel frequently, she said, and they find it easy to get to Kennedy and Newark airports. I also feel it's the center of the universe, she said. For a few years, it was really under the radar, but now there's more development, more young families. Their family includes a 15-month-old son, Asher, so she is happy that a park, an indoor playground and other child-friendly amenities are nearby. The eastern end of the neighborhood is exploding, said Jerry Epstein, a saleswoman with Halstead property, especially along First Avenue, where one new high-rise is nearing completion, another complex just opened and at least 3 more towers are on the drawing boards. This is a rejuvenation, Ms. Epstein said. It's really become an up-and-coming area. Some long-time residents have mixed feelings. Eden Unterman, 80, is a 30-year resident and president of the East Midtown Coalition for Sensible Development. His group has been trying to restrain plans for many years, he said, for the large waterfront tract along First Avenue that Ms. Epstein referred to, as well as smaller projects that have replaced existing structures. We have lost every single battle, said Mr. Unterman, a corporate attorney. Others take a more sanguine view. Fred Arcaro, 75, a retired electrical engineer and president of the Manhattan East Community Association, has lived near First Avenue since 1989. He is hopeful that the growth will include more green spaces and other improvements. It's absolutely better, he said. And more younger people are coming in. Commonly used boundaries for Murray Hill are East 34th Street to East 42nd Street and Madison Avenue to the East River. Grand Central Terminal is on the other side of 42nd Street, as is the United Nations, some of whose diplomats and workers live in the neighborhood. Part of Tudor City, an apartment complex with a distinctive architectural style, is perched atop a hilly area in the northeast corner, though some residents consider it a separate neighborhood. The area is generally a mix of townhouses on side streets and larger buildings on the avenues. Most of the new construction is between 3rd and 1st Avenues. Several new rental buildings have gone up around 3rd Avenue and 39th Street. The Lindley, a 20-story condo with 74 units, is scheduled to open around Memorial Day 2018, though apartments are already being sold, said Scott Schnotty, the project developer for SK Development, which is also responsible for a rental complex nearby. The neighborhood is starting to get the attention of developers, Mr. Schnotty said. The most striking new construction is on 1st Avenue. The American Copper buildings at 36th Street, built by JDS Development, are two crooked copper-clad towers, 48 and 41 stories high, connected by a 3-story skybridge with a 75-foot-long lap pool. The West Tower is open and the East Tower will start leasing in March. 3 blocks north, a 42-story building with a black glass facade, named for its address, 685 1st Avenue, is going up. The 2 bottom floors will contain stores and amenities, while floors 3 to 26 will be rentals, expected to open by fall 2018, said Duk Ho Yeon, an associate partner at Richard Meyer and Partners Architects, which is designing the building. The top floors, filled with condos, will open in spring 2019, he said. The property is owned by the developer Sheldon H. Solo, who also owns empty land across the street, all part of a former Consolidated Edison site. A master plan approved in 2008 calls for 3 more residential buildings, 1 commercial building and 4.8 acres of open space on the empty lot. I think the whole neighborhood will be transformed, Mr. Yeon said. There were 208 apartments listed for sale on StreetEasy on December 11, priced from $335,000 for a studio with river views on Tudor City Place to $10 million for a townhouse on East 38th Street owned by Kenneth J. Lane in the 1960s and later by Liza Minnelli. Murray Hill is still affordable, compared to areas like Chelsea, Tribeca, or Soho, said Boris Sharapan Fabricant, a broker with Triple Mint who lives in the neighborhood. You can still get a lot for your money. Nevertheless, prices have gone up, Mr. Fabricant said. His firm's database shows a median price of $640,000 for a 1-bedroom in 2012. In 2017, it was $885,000, about 38% higher. 2-bedroom apartments had a median sale price of $1.09 million in 2012 and $1.475 million in 2017, about a 35% increase. Apartments for rent on December 11 numbered 340, the lowest priced, a studio in a co-op on East 41st Street, was $1,800 a month, the highest, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath apartment in a Park Avenue condo, was $25,000. Several of the historic row houses on side streets were designed by Stanford White and other noted architects. The Sniffen Court Historic District on East 36th Street between Lexington and 3rd Avenues is a muse where carriage houses are now residences. Cultural institutions include the Morgan Library and Museum on Madison Avenue and Scandinavia House on Park Avenue, which offers programs and a children's center. St. Varden Park, which stretches from 1st to 2nd Avenues, has playgrounds and courts. The Pod 39 Hotel offers an intriguing mix of old and new. This hip modern hotel is in a landmark building that opened in 1918 as the Allerton 39th Street House, a clubby hotel for young men. The restaurant Salvation Taco uses the building's rooftop, which is surrounded by terracotta arches, one of which frames the Empire State Building, said Kurt Gaith, a former editor of the New York City Zagat Guide who lives in Tudor City and writes a blog called Tudor City Confidential. It's one of the most charming places in New York. Public School 281, The River School opened Indiana 2013 at 425 East 35th Street with pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students. It now offers classes up through 4th grade, and will include 5th grade next year, and has about 270 students. In the 2016 to 2017 School Quality Snapshot, 68% of 3rd graders met state standards in English, versus 43% citywide, 64% met state math standards, versus 46% citywide. P.S. 116 Mary Lindley Murray, at 210 East 33rd Street has about 540 students in pre-kindergarten through 5th grade. In 2016 to 2017, 58% met standards in both English and math, versus 40% for English citywide and 42% for math. For middle school, students are zoned for JHS 104 Simon Barrack, at 330 East 21st Street, which has about 1,140 students in 6th through 8th grades. In 2016 to 2017, 67% met standards in English, compared to 41% citywide, 68% met standards in math, versus 33% citywide. Many residents walk to work. Grand Central Terminal, across 42nd Street, offers the Metro North Railroad and the 4, 5, 6, 7, and S subway lines. Buses include the M101, M102, M103, M1, M2, M3, M4, M15, Q32, M34 and M42. Access routes to and from the Queens Midtown Tunnel abound. The East 34th Street heliport is at the East River and the East 34th Street ferry stop is between East 35th and 36th Streets. In colonial times, an importer named Robert Murray and his wife, Mary Lindley Murray, bought a tract that covered what is now Madison to Lexington Avenues and 33rd to 39th Streets. They called their estate Belmont, but it became known as Murray Hill. According to the Murray Hill Neighborhood Association, legend has it that on September 15, 1776, Mrs. Murray invited the British General William Howe and his men to have tea at Belmont, thus giving colonial soldiers time to escape after a surprise attack on the British in nearby Kipps Bay. The attack failed, but the next day, the Americans fought the British in the Battle of Harlem Heights and won.